Okay.
Now am I? Yes, okay. Okay. Everyone sees this? Okay, great. So
Yes, although
we
I do wish that was the price for the tour that you were charging us.
I'm I'm pulling down.
Okay.
Um
I
as
just want
I
to say one other thing. I saw that the single supplement there is also higher than what we said. We're sticking to your prices are not what you gave us. We're going to stick to the lower price. So, but you could go ahead.
okay. Um First of all, I know that Pam has spoken to all of you about arriving earlier. One of the COVID consequences is that you will most likely have to take a PCR test when you get to the airport, which then you will have up to 24 hours of quarantine, or as we say, bidud, which comes from the word of being alone. Um, and you will go to your hotel. You'll arrive at the airport. You will transfer to your hotel at the airport. You'll go through customs, pick up your luggage, and then it's a very efficient system where you'll know exactly where to go because there's only one way to go, and you're basically following everyone. You cannot leave the airport without getting a COVID test. We will make sure that you have a reservation for a test, and we'll either have you make the reservation or we will make it. As Avichai will explain later, we have a lot of things we don't know yet about the COVID situation and what the requirements will be and what will be the easiest way. But one of the things we will do is give you specific instructions about everything that you will need to do. From what form you need to fill out, we'll help you fill out the forms. We'll help you know that when you get to the airport, you have exactly the documentation you need. So when you get to the airport, you will take a PCR test. They will check you on the way out. They'll give you a bracelet that you have to wear, and they check to see that you have that bracelet. You go to your hotel where you need to go into your room until you receive your results. We have in our experience this fall, we've found that it's usually less than the 24 hours. Maybe 10 hours. Like if you're arriving in the middle of the day, by the next morning, you're able to go out. Sometimes it could be earlier, depending when you're arriving. And there's a new current decision that even if 24 hours has passed and you haven't received your results, you can leave your hotel room. So we plan to have everyone available to start the tour on Wednesday, the 30th. And Pam, do you want to talk about that morning?
I had already reached out for those of you who will have had your result, because a lot of people are also coming in more than one day early. We have a reservation with a guide at Yad Vashem. I can send the email out. I know we're meeting in the morning. I don't remember if it's 8:30, 8:45, 9 o'clock, but you'll get an email from me. And we will meet in the lobby of the Herbert Samuel Hotel. But those of you who have signed up really have signed up with me already. But if anybody has not signed up and wants to do that, there's still time.
Okay, so we'll have, assuming everyone's ready, we'll have more time to have a tour of the Machane Yehuda Shuk and some additional touring. Again, depending on what time, we can add tours of neighborhoods in Jerusalem. We'll see how that falls out. I'll let Avichai later tell you about your guide, whose name is Lior Hochberg, and she's one of the best, the very, very best. After Machane Yehuda Market, you'll have dinner at Hamotzi Restaurant, which is an excellent North African restaurant. It's in the Machane Yehuda Market area, and you'll be able to, spend time there afterward. Your hotel is in walking distance, and there's a lot of action at night in the market area. A lot of bars, a lot of entertainment, a lot of just people, and you can really feel the city. The next day on Thursday. My computer is very slow today. Okay, so you're going to start the day. The day is, we're calling it the Many Shades of Jerusalem, and it's really exploring Jerusalem from inside and from outside, starting the day with a kind of a wide angle view of the kind of security, the security barrier which surrounds the city and separates the West Bank from Jerusalem. You will see kind of the political considerations that are affecting Jerusalem today. And Danny Tirza is an incredible guide who was engaged. He was part of the creation of the plan for the security barrier. After that, you'll be going into the old city. You'll have some time to rest and relax. We know that you'll be tired, and it's sometimes on this day, you need a little break, and then dinner you'll have on your own, but we'll have an opportunity to get back together at night to go into the ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods. It's not a voyeuristic tour. You're taking a really in-depth tour to learn about the community, and guided by people who are part of the community. I think that you will find it's a very deep tour with new understanding nuances about the community that we kind of gloss over. And the next day, Okay, the next day, Friday, you'll be spending outside of Jerusalem itself. You're coming at an incredibly beautiful time of the year. Everything is already completely green. We have the opposite of you. We have a green winter, and you're going to a very lush part of the country where flowers will be in full bloom, and the land is it's just breathtaking. And you'll see, the biblical Elah Valley, which you'll get a sense of how things have, of what the landscape is like. It's not the desert. You're going to see the greenest part. You'll have a picnic lunch. We try to help you understand how COVID has, how it's affected the tourism industry and the hospitality industry. And a lot of people who were restaurants out of business started doing kind of takeout food, which I know you had too, but a lot of people started making picnic baskets. And we are going to work with a restaurant or a caterer who ended up going this way during COVID. So you can see one of the positive things about COVID and the creativity that came out of it. Shuli Mishkin, who I don't know, but Pam knows, is an archaeologist, and we're not sure of the exact site, but we're going to go to either Tel Beit Shemesh or She'arim with her for a very special session. Following that, you'll have a chance to get ready for Shabbat by having Buster's Buster's beverages. I'm not going to tell you the story because I can't, it's their story. And I just promise you that you will see a really part of the culture of innovation that is here. And there's been, in addition to the wine, the development of the wine culture here, now all kinds of beer, breweries, ciders, whiskey, alcohol is really coming into its own in an Israeli way. We consider that a startup, an Israeli startup. You'll have Shabbat dinner in a private home, not in the hotel. You'll be together, but you'll all be in a private setting. On Shabbat itself, you have an option to go to Masada. And I understand that most of you would like to go to Masada. We'll try not to make it too early, but we will make it early enough, or probably around 8 o'clock to leave to get there to have enough time to really enjoy the day, going to Masada on cable car. And then following that, going to the Dead Sea, to one of the hotels where you'll have lunch and an opportunity to use whatever the facilities of the hotel, lockers, and access to the Dead Sea. If there's time and interest after that, on the way back to Jerusalem, we can go to En Gedi National Park and take a hike, a beautiful hike with a waterfall. And then the people who do not go to Masada will have options of walking tours in Jerusalem, having a relaxed day. And if people would like to on their own, there's also the option of going to the Israel Museum or another museum. And of course, there's there are endless synagogues to go to, even if you want to walk around on your own and check out just what's happening, going from synagogue to synagogue and feeling the energy on Shabbat will help you navigate that. Sunday, you'll be going, you're meeting Michal Kotler-Wunsch, who was a former member of Knesset and now works very much on the efforts that we've seen to make sure that Americans or Olim, people, relatives of people who live in Israel, are able to come to Israel and during COVID. And she will talk about her work in the Knesset. And okay. And then after that, Shalva, you'll be going to Shalva. Shalva is a center for children with special needs, and they have a cafe. You might have heard of the Shalva Band. They are spectacular. We will try to see if we can meet some members of the band. We'll continue to visit in Ramla or Lod, a visit where people who have been involved in rehabilitating the community after the last civil unrest during the Gaza war are working together. You'll go to Tel Aviv, you'll have dinner at a restaurant, and then you can hang out in Tel Aviv. The next day is in your partnership, starting in Afula. And then after going there, and Pam will explain about the partnership. We don't have to go into it now, but it's your partner community in Israel is in Afula, and you'll meet friends of the community and see your home, your second home in Israel. Then there's time to go to a special spice farm, a winery, and then back to Tel Aviv for dinner. And at dinner, I don't know why it's not showing here, you'll be meeting with Levi Lauer from
Atzum.
Yeah,
Atzum.
Atzum, right? Atzum organization. On the next day, you'll have a visit with a special visit with Igor, going to the Independence Trail, and then you'll have a choice of either a fashion tour or a Bauhaus tour. You can choose. Each person will be able to choose what they want, and you'll have dinner on your own that night. On Wednesday, you'll go to the south, to the Western Negev, on the border with Gaza, to see exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about the Gaza conflict, and meeting people who are living in that area. And the last day, you'll basically be kind of looking to the future, seeing how Israel is the heart of innovation, meeting Joanna Landau, who's made it her mission to, tell the world about the great things of Israel. You'll go to a flight simulator, and then the Paris Peace Center, and have a final dinner where you'll not want to leave. So, I know that's a lot in a small time, but
Raz, I have one thing I would like to say about, you can stop sharing if you can. One thing I wanted to say about that flight simulator. So I've never done it. And I don't know if you guys have ever done it, you and Avichai. But if you can, I would like you to sort of describe it, because if anybody is thinking that they don't want to do, or not thinking, if they absolutely know that is something they would not do, we would like to know in advance. So I don't know if either of you can speak to what that is.
You are getting into the flight uniform and actually doing a flight simulation. I haven't done it. I know that the people who have done it find it very exciting. I'm happy to send more detailed information about it, and then you can decide if you want to do it. But I do know people who have done it and were just blown away. It's it's something out of the ordinary. So I will send, I'll send some information about it.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Roz. That was, you made me want to get on a plane right now, but I can wait. So I did want to open it up for questions. I have a few questions. I put one in the chat, the day we end up in Tel Aviv, I believe, is Sunday, right? So we start the trip on a Wednesday afternoon, and Sunday we end up in Tel Aviv, and we'll be sleeping in Tel Aviv. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was also curious a little bit about what we need in terms of rain gear and coats at the end of March, beginning of April. I have a feeling it's spring in Israel. What are we packing?
It's a good question, and it's actually the very tricky question, because it could be raining and it could be like it was today, which was summery. I would be prepared with layers and with a waterproof coat, and you don't even need to bring an umbrella. You can buy an umbrella on every corner here, so don't schlep it. You can buy an umbrella for nothing and then leave it if you want, if it doesn't break first. But it is even it can be cool, so don't think that it's summer, and bring shoes and socks. It's not quite sandals time, so and the buildings are not heated in the same way as they are in America, so you shouldn't expect to walk into a building and be warm. The hotel will be warm, but being outside, you will be outside. We want to be able to enjoy being outside. Like today, I'm wearing a down vest. This is enough for me today. Last week I wore a whole down jacket, and it'll be warmer, but it could be cool.
Is there any dress requirement for that first tour through the Shtisel tour through the ultra-Orthodox neighborhood?
You will need to be covered. You do not have to wear a dress, but women, but you can't need to wear long pants and a long shirt, long sleeves.
Okay.
If I can add to that,
don't have an open neck, too open.
If I can add to that, since it's an evening tour, especially a lot of people are going to be outside, I would just wear things that are just a bit less extravagant. So more moderate colors. If you have a very, very bright orange or green jacket, don't take it. Find something that's a bit more subtle. I'll also add to what Roz says regarding umbrellas. If we see that in the forecast it's going to rain, we'll provide you with umbrellas, just to be clear.
Okay. I'm gonna let people unmute if they have any questions, or I'll just keep asking all of my questions, because I have a lot of questions and I need the group's input. Joan has a question.
Yeah. I heard a lot of good things about what was the Museum of the Diaspora in Tel Aviv, which is, I guess, revamped and has a new name. Can you tell us what you think about it? And maybe we could go on our own if it's not included,
It just opened. It's called Anu, which is short for Anachnu, which means we. It's the Museum of the Jewish People. And we haven't been there. We are waiting to go on a tour of like a educational tour to see what different kinds of options they have. We are happy to try to find a place to put it in, and I will work on that It might have to be an option. It could be no, I don't want to put it up against a fashion tour because that's a hard choice. But we'll try to find a place to squeeze it in.
Thank you.
You're right. Thank you for mentioning that.
And I have one more question as long as I'm on. Could you tell us a little something about the hotel locations in both Jerusalem and Tel Aviv?
The Herbert Samuel Hotel is in the middle of downtown. If you know Ben Yehuda Street,
Yes.
it's at the bottom of the street in the Zion Square area. It's a great location. It's in the middle of everything. You can walk to the old city. You can walk to the shuk. You can walk everywhere. We have the rooms that you have are higher up. You're not going to hear the street, and even it's very well insulated. But we do want to do whatever we can to prevent that. And it's really wonderful. They have the best part, in my opinion, is the room where you have breakfast. It's at the top floor, and you can see a whole panoramic view of Jerusalem. And it's just lovely. It's not too big, and it's just lovely. And there's a lot to do just walking out the door. In Tel Aviv, it's a Royal Beach, right, Abichai? I just can't see it. And you're in the Royal Beach Hotel. It is a hotel of the Israel. Beautiful across right across from the sea, from the boardwalk. You'll have a chance to, in the mornings, to go and walk along the promenade. It's beautiful. It's been, there's been a lot of work done on the promenade in the last few years. So you could take an hour walk if you'd like, from Jaffa all the way north to the Tel Aviv port. And the hotel is, it's beautiful, comfortable, and very high level hotel that I know you will enjoy. And the location is very central. You're in, you have walking access to a lot of different places, especially if for going out to dinner.
Thank you.
I have a question. I don't know if you can see me.
We
I
can.
can.
Okay, because I can't see you. I must have hit a button. What happens if one of the group tests positive for COVID? What happens to the rest?
So I'll answer that. So if somebody tests positive right when they land, which that's what I assume you mean, then they have to go to quarantine without the rest of the group. Now, this is one of these policies that we're still waiting for an update. The initial policy that they published was 14 days. They lowered it to 10 days. They're lowering it to 7 days. And what we assume will happen, it will just be 2 PCR tests that they're positive, but they will be quarantined aside from the rest of the group.
Which brings me
And
to
of
my
course-
next question.
Sorry,
especially-
Pam, just one more thing. Of course, we will ask everyone to take, as long as if this happens during the trip, we'll ask everybody to take another COVID test, like a quick, self-test antigen test.
Antigen test.
So I wanted to bring something up to the group. I don't want to do anything that causes like mass trouble for everybody, okay? But here was what I was thinking. You know, you're on the plane. I'm sure we're all going to wear our masks as often as possible on the plane. But then you test right when you get off the plane, right? But the thing is, we do have the option through Via Sabra that they would be able to provide each participant with an antigen test that you could, I mean, we would pay for it. There, I'm just like, it's not an expensive thing, but I was thinking that either for each of the first 3 days after arrival, if people are willing, it would be great if we could all self-test on these antigen tests so that if by any terrible chance somebody picked something up on the plane, we would know it 2, 3, 4 days later. And I mean, I'm comfortable doing it. I can't force anybody to do it, but I would just say to you privately, if you absolutely don't want to do it, you can write to me. You don't have to say something here. But if everybody else is comfortable, I think, Avichai, it's something I would like to do, just to not only, A, for the person so that they know, but also for the protection of the group.
Mhm. We can definitely do that. We can put it in your welcome bag.
Just
We
what
can
everybody
get it,
wants
we
in
can
their
brand
welcome
it and
bag.
it'll be our swag, our new swag.
Yeah, I'm also sensitive to it because we have at the very least, and I'm not counting, but we have at the very least 3 doctors on the trip who need to come home from this trip healthy also, because they have people there taken care of. So, but we'll take, I just want you to know that's in the works and this is my request, but we'll take care of it when we get closer. And go ahead, Maura, but Maura and then Ellen, just unmute yourselves.
I had 2 questions. One had to do with Pam, when we were on a different call, you talked about EMA care and insurance while we're there. Should we have anything while we're there that goes beyond? That's one question. And then my other has to do with, is it possible to actually hike Masada and meet up with the group later that day?
I'm going to let Avichai and Raz take the Masada question. I want to say this: the rules in Israel keep changing. Okay. It is possible that even when we go, Israel will require people to have health insurance that includes COVID-19 coverage, right, for travelers. If they do, I just want you to know, I signed up with EMA Care for a trip that I'm taking, hopefully to Israel in a few weeks, God willing, without any hiccups, and got health insurance for both me and Matt. It was relatively inexpensive, very easy to do. They speak English, they get back to you right away. But and if that's the rule, then we will send you that information, 30 days in advance for you to sign up. And what you will basically need is just a screenshot of your passport and you'll send them the personal information. Hiking up Masada, Raz and Avichai.
We can make sure that you're able to do that if it means sending the bus back later, if the rest of the group is finishes before you, we will make sure that you can do that. But also, you can also walk down. That's another good option. If you want to take the cable car up and leave a little bit before the rest of the group, walking down will have you end up all together. It's also great. It's a great experience to walk down. It's not the same as walking up, but we'll talk about it, but we'll make sure that you can do it.
Also, there's a question in the chat about testing in the States prior to leaving. Yes, that's a requirement. You will take a PCR test within 72 hours of your flight, and you'll have to show the results. For those of you who live in Greenwich, I just want to, if you don't already know, this is not covered by insurance, but it's a good thing to know. There is a place called Everpoint in the CVS building across the street from the Federation, where you can get a PCR test with 24-hour results or same day results. They're really they're meant for travelers. It's just that if you do it that way, it's not covered. You have to pay out of pocket.
Please be very careful that the test you're getting is for flying. There are PCR tests that are not valid for flying. So I have traveled twice to the States in the last few months, and I found one, they don't require they say that they require the passport number to be on the test results. I've done it both ways. If you can get them to put the passport number on your test results, that's fine. But if you can't, don't worry about it.
What's a PCR test that's not acceptable?
You have to ask when you go there. I just know from my own experience, I'd gone to different places, but like a CVS or Walgreens, that is. Also, Avichai, you said we can do the antigen test 24 hours in advance also instead?
Yeah, but in any case, that's a brand new policy. So the PCR is 100% secure the 72 hours before, the antigen 24 hours before. I would just wait and see that policy doesn't change.
Yeah.
So I have another question. Some of us got our booster more than 6 months ago, and I understand that's could be an issue. So what, I don't know if we're going to get a fourth booster or what the rules are going to be here in the US.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it's actually, those are probably 90% of the questions that are coming from clients before they arrive. There's a big question mark right now about those things, about does it, I mean, for people who got their booster shot, will it be sufficient if it's, you know, past more than 6 months for the last day of the trip? I can tell you 100% that if you only got the second dose without the booster, then you will definitely need to get the booster. But the 6 months, we don't know quite yet. Because the sky's only, I mean, the decision was made this past Thursday. These questions keep on coming up from not just us, from over 150 other agents. It's one of the most urgent answers that we're seeking. So the second we get a clear policy, we will update you with it immediately. Right now, it needs to be. Right now, it needs to be less than 6 months for since your booster shot for the last day of the trip.
Right. So we have two, as I said, we spoke right before the call. We have two kinds of travelers in this group, right? Those who have no problem, they got boosted in late October or November, and it's not an issue, right? We have some travelers whose boosters run out in the middle of the trip. And then we have another traveler whose booster runs out, if I recall, in such a way that if she got boosted before the trip, it would still not be the full 14 days. So we also have to figure out what the rules are in America about maybe getting boosted again 5 months later. I don't know what that is, but any any change in the policy would be greatly appreciated. So we will figure that out. Oh, wait, Ellen was going to go, and then Debbie Finkelstein. I'm looking at hands.
At the beginning of the call, I heard someone mention the possibility of leaving a day early. Is that what the thinking is now? Leaving a day early in order to address or account for the possibility of having to hang out, quarantine for 24 hours. Is that what people are thinking of doing, or is most people planning to leave on Wednesday? What's the story?
You mean leaving from the States to Israel?
Yes.
We are advising almost everybody to book your tickets in a way where you land on the 29th. You can get a hotel wherever you like, or you can ask Raz and Avichai at Via Sabra to get you a room at the hotel that we are staying at, and they'll give you the rates, and they'll match whatever rates you see, and whatever is easiest for you. But this way, everybody hopefully will test negative, and we'll be able to start the trip together.
I just want to emphasize what Pam said. If you do want to stay at the hotel, the Trip Hotel, the Herbert Samuel, we will match the rate that you're seeing on the internet. And we recommend that you would do it to extend your reservation as opposed to having a separate reservation at the same hotel. It'll be much easier for your entire stay to have the one reservation.
Also, there was a direct message to me that we didn't, and I know, Debbie, you have a question. I haven't forgotten. I just see that this question has been sitting here for a while. I know this is like really a lot of fun and that we keep talking about it, but you will also be required to take a PCR test before you leave the country, because that's the United States rules. So, yeah, and that happens at the airport, I believe. No?
Actually,
No.
that's Israel's rule also. You have to have it to leave. But we will arrange for you to be tested at the hotel.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
beautiful.
It'll be like a fun pre-breakfast activity. We can make a thing out of it. Have a cocktail and a little, pick our brains.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mimosa.
Yeah, Debbie.
Besides having thousands of PCR tests while we're in Israel, you mentioned, Pam, when we spoke, that on Friday, you weren't sure whether Shuli would be available Erev Shabbos, and that one of the options might be to go to Beit Shemesh to visit Selma's grave.
So
Is that-
we're going to Beit Shemesh either way because that's where Buster's cider is. And so
Right.
we really hope that we are going to be able to make that stop. I have to get in touch with her family. And also, I believe we have confirmed with Shuli.
Yeah,
Michigan.
Shuli's booked and confirmed.
Right. And so we may just leave earlier that morning than usual. No one's asked about the nobody's asked about the timing of the day. I think there are no days in which we're going to torture you on this mission about leaving the hotel at 7 a.m., which is usually my favorite, form of mission torture. But I think there is one day we may have to leave a little early besides the Masada day, but for the most part, the other thing that I keep reminding you is you're a mission participant, but you're not a hostage. So if there is something that's going on and you are too tired or you have something else to do and we're not switching hotels that night and you want to take a cab back to the hotel, you do that. There's a group dinner planned and you just need to go to sleep or check email or stay in. Just let us know and we won't wait in the lobby for you, but you gotta do this at your pace also. Okay. So as long as we're not moving hotels on a day that we're traveling, I just want to keep that in mind.
So the visit to the cemetery is an iffy thing still at this point for
We haven't
Selma's?
planned it. I don't think it's iffy. I just think we haven't planned it yet because we were waiting to see if we could actually go. There are also some people on the trip who may not be able to go into a cemetery for religious reasons. Like there's all kinds of, or people who just don't want to go. So we'll figure it out.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, there was a question that came up in the chat that will you be sending the updated itinerary? So usually we send an updated itinerary in a kind of a travel or a fact sheet a month in advance. In this case, we're going to send it probably 2 weeks before, kind of a final version of the itinerary, something that you can print and just kind of read over, through your flight, a fact sheet with some important things to know before you travel, and you'll get that about 2 weeks before the trip.
I also got a direct message about the safety of going down south near the Gaza border. I trust Avichai and Raz implicitly. They have connections. We don't go anywhere in Israel where there is a threat or I don't know what you call it, an alert. They are in charge of that. So, if anything that we're doing anywhere in the country has any kind of issue, they will let us know and we will quickly fill in with something else.
Right.
Right.
We have an update on a daily basis. If there's any reason not to go somewhere, we are notified about it, and we will change the itinerary. I wanted to say this is a great size group, and we do know that things happen on the ground, and we are very flexible. We can find a different activity. We've done this before in the same exact situation. We can create a new day. We're there for you and with you. We're not far away, and you'll be working. I would like Lior. I'd like Avichai to say a few words about Lior, your tour guide.
All right, so Lior Hochberg, who is one of our finest tour guide and a dear friend of mine, I think more than anything, she's just a brilliant storyteller. We have been working with her, I think since for the past 8 years, both for Israelis and for international travelers. She picks her clients very, very, very specifically. And she doesn't guide around the clock. She guides about one group a month. Maybe that will change post-COVID. She's also leading women's trips all over Israel and all over the world. She has led plenty of trips to Morocco. She has led plenty of trips to Greece, and I believe to Georgia as well. And I think she's just a wonderful combination between a person who is very, very down to earth, is able to kind of be relatable and somebody to tell from her own very personal experience. And she is a sharp, brilliant Jewish educator. She travels with her guitar usually. And I think the best way to put it is, when we plan our weekends, my kids, one of the first people that they ask to go and see is her. So she's just lovable, wonderful, an incredible hostess and a brilliant Jewish educator.
Thank you. I want to say one more thing. I want to open it up for one or two last questions, because I had promised the people who were interested in going to Petra after Israel that they could stay on the call with you to talk about that. So even if you haven't told us that you're interested in Petra, if you are, just stay on the call. I see that, yeah, we are going to send everybody Roz's email. So if you want to make reservations for anything in advance, you can get some help. But one last call for questions before we move to, Joan Mann has her hand up.
You mentioned some of us went to Masada 2 years ago, but I guess there was not time to go to Ein Gedi, which we really wanted to go to. So I'm sure those who want to go, Masada, we'd be certainly willing to leave earlier in the morning, so that Ein Gedi could really be an option. Is that possible?
Also, you can spend less time at the Dead Sea, which is another option.
Okay.
But if that's a priority, we'll make the schedule fit that.
I feel like Ein Gedi was a good thing to add on.
Okay.
So if there are no more questions, I just want to say before we move over to Petra that really a personal thank you, Pam, to you. I know this is this might be awkward, but it's been just incredible to work with you and to partner with you on this trip. You and I met, I think, 3 years ago, something like that. We've been talking about planning a trip for such a long time. We work with a lot of groups, and it's such a wonderful experience to work with someone who is so just detail oriented and cares about everything so much. And really just thank you from my perspective. I'm sure that the rest of the group will say either they traveled with you or they say at the end of the trip, but before the trip begins, it's my opportunity to say so. So thank you.
You know what, Avichai, I think after the trip, they're going to say we traveled to Israel with Via Sabra, not with Pam. So, you'll see. No, it's great. We're still working on it. So for those of you who want an updated itinerary, part of the issue is we're still, thinking about things because there's always something new. So, okay. So anybody who wants to gracefully sign off, who's not interested in Petra, bye, Mara.
Thank you.
Bye, Matt. Okay.
Pam, I want to just ask you a quick question. The trip officially starts on the 30th. That's when
it officially starts on the 30th in the afternoon. So if somebody arrives at like 5 o'clock on the 29th, we're certainly hoping that by 3 p.m. they will have their results.
Was that the original date? Were we originally
Yes.
saying that it was going to start on the 30th? Oh,
yes.
Okay.
We did not change that. We just asked people to come earlier because we knew there was going to be an issue. We thought there was going to be a 3-day, when we started picking, what we were going to do, we thought there might be a 3-day quarantine, but I don't think we're going back to that.
No, things are getting more relaxed overall.
Okay, Roz, the floor is yours again to talk about Petra.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw the itinerary. Did they all see the itinerary, Pam?
I only sent it to whoever asked me for it. So if you want to share it, you can.
Well, I don't need to share it. I think I just wanted to know if people saw it. We have scheduled that on the night that the trip ends, after the final dinner, you would go back to the hotel, the Royal Beach, where you'd have your room for the night, sleep there, and the next morning early take a flight to Eilat, cross the border into Jordan, and then go to Petra and have that whole day in Petra. And then you would sleep in Petra that night. The next morning, you would go to Wadi Rum, which is between Petra and Eilat. And then go back to Eilat, cross back into Israel, and fly to Ben Gurion Airport. And then you can leave from there. You would be with a guided tour. It's not us. It's our agent that we work with in Jordan. A great agent that we have worked with for many years. And, together with them, we build a very seamless, smooth trip to Jordan with the wonderful guide. That's, it's pretty simple.
Can you just tell everybody what the cost for that is, including the flights to and from Eilat?
Yeah, the cost for that, for everything I described, is $1,100 a person in a double room.
And does it include meals in Jordan?
Yes, it does. It includes meal. It includes on Friday the 2nd. It includes. I'm just looking at the itinerary right now. It includes lunch and dinner, and breakfast on Saturday. But not lunch on Saturday.
I hate to
I'm
ask.
sorry, it does include lunch on Saturday. I'm sorry, it includes lunch on Saturday. It does not include a meal after you go back to Ben Gurion, but it includes breakfast and lunch on Saturday.
I hate to ask this question, but I'm going to. Does Jordan require another PCR test for entry?
So I'll make it easier. The border have been closed between Israel and Jordan, kind of opening up and closing again for the past 2 years. And they have not been consistent about anything. PCR tests, time to quarantine, or what kind of qualifies the border, what makes the border open up again. So we're planning as if the border will open up, because we're seeing that now things are starting to open up. But there's a chance that they will choose not to. And this really it less depends on what's happening in Israel. It more depends on what's happening in Jordan. We have absolutely no control over that. So, as of now, there's no need to do PCR test, but as of now, the borders have been closed. So for the past few months.
So we already would have the PCR test that everyone else would have. In other words, you are set up to have it no matter what, whether you're leaving or going to Petra.
The entire group is having a PCR test for the flight, which is the same one for border crossing. So, that wouldn't matter, but yeah, that's something that we'll have to wait and see what happens. Which I know, Pam, I know everyone, this is not ideal at all, but we have to plan as if it's a positive, and we have to kind of prepare ourselves that we might have a change of plans. And I'll tell you my personal perspective. I'm making the best out of every situation. So
if somebody, well, here's the other question. If everybody plans to go and then Jordan doesn't open the border, is that whole thing refundable?
So A, it is refundable, and B, we're more than happy to also work with you to create a program here in Israel, but it will be 100% your choice, and you will not be liable to a dime of the price of the Jordan extension, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I want to say, if I remember correctly, you are flying through Newark, JFK, one of the two.
Some are JFK, some are Newark, but basically those are the two.
most of the airlines that are flying, I know from personal experience, are very, very flexible with changing flights, even last minute, at no prices. These are not the days of El Al of 3 years ago that, a change 6 months before cost $300. You can go on the app of United and Delta, both, 24, 48 hours before and just make a change to your flight. We will definitely not get that far before we give you a final update. Regarding the Jordan extension, but yeah, I feel like for that part, we'll have to be a bit more flexible. And again, I feel like I'm repeating myself. We would have pre-COVID, we would have never allowed ourselves to be this flexible and skeptical and just fluid. But it's different times. So we want to be very optimistic and we want to be hopeful and we definitely want to plan. But should we need, we'll have to only cancel that part.
But I
That
like
silence
how
after
you-
me talking is, I don't.
No, but I think
you're not happy.
I
with
know
what I said.
that I understand the uncertainty of the return flight being an issue, whether you're staying a few nights longer or not. So if you want to, those of you who want to go to Jordan and take the chance, understand that no matter what happens, you'll stay those 2 extra nights. And if it's Jordan, it's Jordan. If it's Israel, you'll do something else fabulous.
We can go to Eilat.
You can go to Eilat. You can go to the north, which you're not. We can go to Akko. We can go to the desert. We can do it. We can go to a crater, and it's pretend like we're in Petra. So,
Tell you
there's
what,
endless things to do.
Tell you what, we have the most incredible trip we're doing with Chef Michael Solomonov that is happening over these dates. Should Jordan not happen, that trip is crazy expensive and we have not opened it to anyone for a part of the time. But because of this uncertainty, we will, whoever wants, will allow you to join those 3 days instead. But let's put that aside. Let's hope that we're going to Jordan, and we're just offering a contingency plan.
Okay.
Great.
Petra people, any questions? Elise, I think you have to unmute if you're talking to us. Okay.
I have a couple of questions. So the return flight, because I want to go to Petra, hopefully it happens. So what date do we book our return flight? I guess that's what my question is. Well, that's one of my
Your
questions.
return flight would be on Saturday,
April 9th.
April 9th,
April 9th.
unless you decide you want to stay. You could go from the flight from the Eilat to Ben Gurion flight straight to your international flight. Or if you decide you want to stay over, we can arrange that as well.
Oh, okay, fine. And the other question, I guess I should have maybe asked before, travel insurance, God forbid you get COVID and you have to stay 10 extra days or 7 extra days. Is there travel insurance that will help pay for the hotel? Because I know it could get up there.
So that's a great question, and you're right. On different times, and that would be a more travel insurance rather than a health insurance. But every COVID insurance that I've seen so far includes the cost of whatever hotel for quarantine you have to. If you make an arrangement with an insurance, just make sure that you look into those small details. But like I told you, every insurance policy that I've seen so far includes that, including the change of flights, including the overnight hotels. I mean, of course, up to a certain amount, depends on the packages that you get with your insurance. And I also want to say, not to be quoted, everyone on this trip, anyone on every trip, should get COVID insurance, but we're getting one for everyone anyways. Now, we don't have to, but this is just to kind of cover ourselves. It's a basic one. It's a very basic one, but we don't want anyone, if there were any mistakes, if somebody did not get the right insurance or anything, we're getting a basic one from our side as well. And again, we want you to get your own policies. We're getting a very slim one, a very basic one, but should, God forbid, you don't get an insurance, or God forbid, your insurance is wrong or there's a problem, we always have you 100% covered, just to be clear, okay?
Okay.
Belts and suspenders.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, that's what we call that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Does that COVID insurance cover you in Jordan as well?
I don't think so. No, only in Israel.
The one that you would buy, you can get it to extend to
Of
that,
course.
but the one that we have.
Okay, so that's the one
It's
that you
only
get
in
through
Israel.
Care, right? You tell them.
But we
what-
get it. Well, we get it with the government. It's something that they provide to.
No, the
to
one that
travel
the
agents.
one that individual travelers.
Oh
get.
yeah, of course, yes. Any more questions?
Okay, so Ellen, will COVID insurance be provided? Yes. The thing is with Israel, I don't know about Jordan, but with Israel, they are not allowed to issue, the company I'm working with. So I'm only talking about Care, which is the company I have decided I am using. It's EMACARE. You can apply whenever you want with all the documents, but they will only issue a policy 30 days before you land. And the cancellation, let me just tell you what the next thing is. Their cancellation policy, let's say 2 weeks before the trip, you decide you don't want to go or whatever, they will refund you everything for the policy less 5% plus $25 per policy.
Which is pretty good. Which is
That's
good.
amazing.
Good conditions. Yeah.
I mean, the policy was like, I don't know, I think it was like $20 a day. I mean, it was not so, I figured, for the $12 or whatever it was going to be, it was just worth having the insurance. And we're going to send out, so we are, Ellen, going to send out Care info. And Avichai, is there a way to sign up for those tests in Ben Gurion before we land, or do you do that for us? Like because we're all arriving at different times.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Before the last travel ban, they allowed us to do it for everyone, but it's a whole new form right now, and they just released it today. So we don't know. This is, I think it was one of the first things that came up. We'll let you know. Let's give it a few days.
Okay.
We'll let you know if we can do it for you. We'll do it for you. If you're required to do so yourself, we're more than happy to either walk you through it, help you out with it, do it together online, or just send you the link and you can do it yourself. It's pretty simple.
And I understand it's less expensive to pre-book. Is that still the case, or we're going to wait a few
Correct.
days?
By $10 or so. I mean, it's not.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
No,
it's
but
about
you wanna
$25 right now for the.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Anything else, everyone? I mean, I know we.
Yeah. When do you need the people who are on this call to let you know about Petra, given how fluid everything is?
Once we know that the borders reopen, I would probably give it a week for people to make decisions. I also want to say we keep on talking about, restrictions and policies, and we keep on talking about COVID and insurance, but this trip will be incredible. This is one of the best itineraries that we've done. The professionals that Pam and Roz chose are really the best they're so suitable for this program. And after meeting everyone today, I am personally excited just as much for this trip, and I wish I could just join you as a guest rather than from the other side. And thank you everyone for taking the time for joining today.
Yeah, we're excited. If anybody has any questions, as always, you can always just email me or text me or whatever. I'm
Grateful for your perseverance and your willingness to still come. I know it's not to be taken for granted that you're today thinking of traveling in a few months. So thank you.
We're coming.
Yeah.
We are coming.
Again, it's not to be taken for granted.
So
that you would
yeah.
even consider it. So we're very grateful for that because we are operating on the same frequency.
Yeah, and thank you, Angie, also for all your help. And Christine had an issue this morning. She couldn't join us, but we'll probably powwow again soon about this because it really, now that we really know it's happening, we want to iron out some of those little tiny things, the little tiny things. I call that, Avichai knows, I call that the water on the bus discussions, right? What are we doing when it's a dinner on your own, but we need to have a reservation somewhere for people who still want to go out, and those little tiny things. We're getting also, for those of you who are foodies and who on the dinner on your own nights want to eat in places that you've heard about, like, Machne Yuda or Chakra, or I don't even know what's still open, Abraxas, all of these places, Israelis are eating out, right? So if you're going to want reservations at some of those higher end restaurants, let's not wait. We can always cancel a reservation a few days before, but it's very hard to make a reservation a few days before at those restaurants.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we'll already make a few tomorrow morning, nameless, with no names. So should you choose to go to a few of them, we've got you covered.
Yeah, I feel like I should put Margie on this. Margie, do you remember when we did that trip to, was it Savannah? How many hours you spent researching restaurants? And because so many of these restaurants are not kosher, I don't really know a lot about them, and I'm not up on what the new ones are. So we'll get some guidance, or we'll just let Margie know. Just kidding. We'll figure it out. Okay, guys, thank you so much for spending your Sunday morning with me, with all of us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.